Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight for the 10 o'clock news here on Q2. I'm Zoe Zandora. The three men running to represent Montana in the U.S. Senate, Democratic Senator Jon Tester, Republican challenger Matt Rosendale, Libertarian Rick Breckenridge faced off in Bozeman today for a televised debate on MTN stations. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian recaps some of the biggest issues they discussed.
In Saturday's U.S. Senate debate, the three candidates quickly drew distinctions among themselves. One of the most contentious issues was health care. Senator Jon Tester attacked State Auditor Matt Rosendale for his support of short-term insurance plans, which can offer cheaper but less extensive coverage.
My folks had one of those such plans when I got these fingers cut off in a meat grinder, and they didn't cover anything. And I remember my father going, "We bought this insurance to have it when we needed it, and when we needed it, it wasn't there." If you buy junk insurance, what the commissioner is promoting, you'll have nothing when you get sick, because it doesn't cover pre-existing conditions. It doesn't prevent for lifetime caps. If you got asthma, high blood pressure, whatever it might be, they won't cover, but they're cheap.
But Rosendale argued Tester's plan is a top-down system that doesn't offer consumers enough choices to reduce their health care costs.
And this is what happens when you spend too much time in the federal government. He's been there for 12 years, and he thinks that he can determine what is best for you and what is best for your family. And I don't think so. I think it is up to us to make sure that you have as many opportunities to accommodate your health care needs in a way that understands your budget, your specific health care needs, and your personal choices, and not a top-down, federally run system.
Libertarian candidate Rick Breckenridge also took on Tester directly on issues from health care to immigration and government spending.
John, when he ran 12 years ago, he said it's time to make Washington look a little bit more like Montana. But what's happened now, especially like with this answer, he kind of likes what's happening in Washington. And I think John's starting to look more like Washington than he does Montana.
On the issue of the Second Amendment, Rosendale said Tester can't be trusted to protect gun rights because he supported President Obama's judicial picks but opposed President Trump's.
So he let somebody else do his bidding. He can say that he's going to stand for the Second Amendment, but when he confirms a Supreme Court justice that says that they're willing to take your Second Amendment rights away, it is not acceptable to me.
But Tester said he'll stand on his record in Congress when it comes to gun rights.
I've done things to allow guns in parks, to allow guns on trains, to expand our Second Amendment rights. I feel strongly in it. And nobody's going to take our guns away under my watch. On the other side of the coin, if you are a criminal, you need to have a background check because you forfeited that right.
MTN political analyst Dr. David Parker said the debate was strong and substantive.
I thought Jon Tester looked good. I thought Matt Rosendale looked good, and that's really important. The challenger, the expectation's always lower. You can imagine Matt Rosendale filling the role of the U.S. Senate. And I'll tell you, the third-party candidate, the Libertarian Rick Breckenridge, also looked really good.
This was the final scheduled debate among the three candidates, with just over 3 weeks left until Election Day. In Helena, Jonathan Ambarian, MTN News.
And election officials began mailing absentee ballots to voters around Montana yesterday. Many people refer to Missoula as a blue dot in an otherwise red state, and the stats back that up. It was one of the 6 counties in the Treasure State where the majority voted for Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. Now, today, Trump supporters gathered at the University of Montana to show their support and promote peace, as well as an understanding in what they call today's heated political climate. The rally was organized by 2 UM students, Caden Stant and Jack Burns. They said they wanted to help fellow Republicans in the community feel that their voices were being heard and for others to know that there is a group in Missoula that shared their beliefs.
Yeah, so we think there's a lot of divisiveness in the world, and we think people are kind of scared to show support for our president. We think that in today's world they're scared because they'll be labeled as sexist or racist or something like that, and we think that you should be able to support your president and America.
Today, the Trump campaign announced they will be coming to Missoula next Thursday, October 18th at 6:30 p.m. The rally will be held at Neptune Aviation Services. This will be the 4th rally that President Trump has held in Montana and the first rally in Missoula since he first began his race for president in June 2015. And now join here with meteorologist Connor Pregitzer. A little bit of white this morning and into the early afternoon.
Into the early afternoon as well. Yes, we woke up. I think you're being a little skimpy in your talk there. It was more than a little bit of white this morning. We woke up to quite a bit of white sitting out there, as did Dooney Young. She was out in Lockwood. She sent us this picture, said she actually had to get out there and do a little bit of early morning shoveling. That's some heavy lifting for this point in October. We also got this picture coming in from Chalet Rigdon, showing there's snow on their mountain ash tree. You know what? There is certainly definitely a beauty to the snowfall, especially when you know that it's not sticking around quite yet at this point in the season. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Before we wrap up the talk on the snowfall here, looking at Bozeman, Livingston, Billings, and down in Sheridan there as the places that saw the most precipitation today. Sheridan in particular got a pretty heavy dump of this. Again, that's 0.7 of an inch of precipitation, easily equating to 5 or 6 inches of snowfall. So certainly a little bit of white stuff, but we've got some sunshine on the way tomorrow that's going to clear that up. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit.
All right, thanks, Connor. Respect and compassion. These are things that are necessary for communication among different cultures, ethnicities, religions, and political parties. That's part of the message at a conference on peace building today in Billings. The 4th Annual Global Peace Foundation Forum brought together local government, nonprofit, and faith leaders. The mission of the foundation is peace building. The forum featured sessions on national, state, and community peace building. The keynote speaker talked about human trafficking, illustrating what's involved in peace building.
We can address human trafficking by coming back to the family and into the community where we can build stronger bonds. One of the components of Global Peace Foundation says peace begins in the family. Faith, family is a very important part of building community.
Mike Yakowicz is also a Billings City Councilman and says stronger bonds lead to more dialogue and more people working together to address serious issues. Weather made for a lower turnout than usual for the traditional event of Harvest Fest. Many of the vendors still made it to the event, which was put on by the Downtown Billings Alliance. Entertainers still performed under Sky Point, with somewhat protected from the snow. The event features food, arts and crafts, and one last chance for local fresh produce. Harvest Fest is traditionally held the second Saturday in October, a week after the last farmers market.
Oktoberfest is a big deal, and brewing, beer is a big deal in Montana and Billings specific. And having the beer garden, having a final push to be outside. In the past, it's been 60 degrees. I've heard it's been colder than this too, but we just want to keep downtown vibrant and alive.
Dancing in the snow, keeping it vibrant and alive. And the money raised from raffles at Harvest Fest go to decorations and cleanup in downtown Billings. In this week's Outdoor Report, one hunter shows us one of his favorite spots to go in northwest Montana.
I got involved hunting here when it was close to town and everything, when it was owned by Calvin Wilson. Calvin would allow people to come out and hunt. You just had to ask permission. With it, I probably hunt 95% of my time for the season here. It's close to town. It's a wonderful place to go, and you have opportunities for, running into everything that you want to for hunting. My name is Mark Sheets, and I live here in Thompson Falls, and I'm on the Mount Silcox Wildlife Range. Primarily, it's a walk-in area. People, use it for horses, but it just ends up for a very quiet, peaceful experience that can take place, and you can have a lot of folks out here, and yet you're not really feeling crowded or anything. There's a whole variety of things that you can see here, and just every time you come out, it's usually something new, something different. Like last year, I didn't get anything hunting at all, but yet it was probably one of the better hunting seasons that I've ever had, in which the number of animals that I saw, it was wonderful. I thank Calvin all the time for that. Fish, Wildlife, and Parks for doing it. Because this would have been subdivided. It had been trophy homes all over, and, it just would have been a totally lost gem, because of that, where this, is going to be here forever. And it's wonderful and just a great thing to have. It's a real jewel right in your backyard.
Mount Silcox is primarily a winter range for bighorn sheep.